Hi, I'm Chris Wilcox, and I'm the Deputy Principal and College Counselor in the secondary school. And today, I'm here to talk about one of my favorite books from high school, which is this book, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. When I was in high school, I grew up in the 1990s in the United States. My teachers gave us a lot of options for books that we wanted to read. And leading up to the selection of this particular book, I had the opportunity to read a poem by the Irish poet W.B. Yeats. And the poem is called The Second Coming. And this poem actually was very meaningful to me because poetry was not something I always enjoyed, but the language of this particular poem was quite vivid and interesting. And I even remember to this day the first 4 lines. And the reason why it's important is because Achebe actually named his book after one of the lines of this poem. So the first 4 lines were, "Turning and turning through the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world." As you can see, this is a rather dark and heavy poem, but in my experience when I was growing up in high school, I very much enjoyed the opportunity to read books that were difficult and had challenging topics. Why? Because I think you can learn a lot from books that take on those challenges, and you really get to understand the human condition and the human spirit. So anyway, when given a group of books to choose from, Things Fall Apart really resonated with me, and so I decided that this was the book I was going to read. There was another reason why this book stood out to me as well, which is that, again, growing up in the 1990s in America, generally the authors that we read were white Western men. And while I think there's, wonderful things to be gained from those works, I also think it's important that in this world that we get different perspectives. And so the opportunity to read a book that was written by a Nigerian man was very appealing to me and something that I wanted to tackle. The story itself takes place in Nigeria, and the main character, Okonkwo, is a Nigerian man who lives in an African tribe, and within his tribe there's a lot of struggle and strife. However, nothing is actually as difficult as when Western culture comes into his part of Africa and decides that they are going to bring missionaries to take over the area. And the book really describes the conflict of these two cultures. So today, I'm going to read just a brief excerpt from the book. And to set this up, essentially, through all of the strife that is going on in this culture, it's difficult to see clearly the way forward. And at one point, Okonkwo's father has some advice, so I'm going to read that section. His father, Unokwa, who was then an ailing man, had said to him during that terrible harvest month, "Do not despair. I know you will not despair. You have a manly and proud heart. A proud heart can survive a general failure, because such a failure does not prick its pride. It is more difficult and more bitter when a man fails alone." And I think what his father's trying to say is how important it is for us to have a community and to work together to achieve things. Now, for me personally, I think this book actually resonates very much in the world today. And when I think about Things Fall Apart, I do think about my home country, the United States. And right now, there are a lot of things going on there that I personally have questions about. and I'm really not sure about the direction where my country is going. And so this book is always in the back of my mind. Things fall apart. And I really want to make sure that things don't fall apart in my own country. And it's something that I'm going to think about going forward. Thank you.